So welcome everybody to the Getting Started with Human Design webinar. My name is Lisa Richard. I am the owner of Loving Energy Recharge, and I am a certified human design guide through the International Human Design School. I started my human design journey about 4 years ago when I discovered my own unique design. And I also ran designs for that of my family members and came to realize that in my own family, I had 4 of the 5 designs. That started my curiosity to get to learn more. I now teach a Living Your Design masterclass. But in part of my own journey, what I wanted to do was to really help simplify the process for other people discovering human design or coming into it for the very first time. So some of you may know your human design chart. Some of you may have never heard about human design. I'm going to show you some tools to help you get started wherever you are in your journey. But for those that are here with me live today, I would love for you to put in the chat box what your human design type, strategy, and authority is, if that information is handy to you. So let me go ahead and show you, first of all, what this webinar is going to be about. I'm going to give you a brief overview of how to create your chart if you don't have one, or if you want to go in to run for your family members. We're going to go through learning the basics of human design. I want to really focus today on 3 ingredients for success. This is going to help you to get started with implementing your human design. And I'm going to offer you a little bit of a treat of how to become the alchemist. So this is where human design gets to be really fun, when we start to explore what's known as the gate in the human design body graph. So let's start off by looking at how are you going to create your chart. I have a link here at the bottom to my website. I'm just going to click on that to show you some tools. It's going to take you right to my human design tab on the main website. And right at the very top, you're going to see a section there to create your human design body graph. We're going to click on that for anybody who is new to human design, and it's going to bring us over to Jovan Archive. There's many different sources of human design out there. Jovan is one of the licensing bodies, so I highly recommend using their site to create your chart. So let us pretend we're looking up one for John Smith, and John was born on the 2nd of May in the year 1980. Now, when it gets to your time, they use a 24-hour clock, so it's very important to make sure that you use the same, because it does make a difference whether it's AM or PM. So let us put in that, John was born at 4:30 in the morning, born in Canada, and let's move him into Edmonton, Alberta, up in the north there for some of my Albertan friends. Now you're just going to hit that calculate button down at the bottom, and it's going to pop up this individual's human design body graph. Now, everybody is going to have their own design. Some of you will have certain centers that are colored. Some are going to be white. Some people may have everything colored. Some may have everything white. So don't worry too much about all this stuff that is going on. But what you do want to do once you have your chart is you want to hit that download button to save a copy for yourself. So there is a site there that you can go to if you're needing to print off your charts, and I highly recommend doing that for yourself and your family members. It's really cool to kind of see the different dynamics. Now, once you have your chart, of course, you're going to want to learn the basics. So on that same website that I just showed you for Loving Energy Recharge, right underneath the area to create your chart, there is already a recording in there. It's about 90 minutes long, and you can watch that at your own time and your own pace, and it's going to teach you how to read your chart. So it's going to tell you what those different centers mean, what the different lines mean. You know, we have black lines and red lines and checkered lines. It's going to tell you what some of those numbers mean on the side and what some of those symbols are all about. So it's going to give you some basic information to help you get started. If you haven't watched that video yet, or you are brand new to human design, but you have found your way into this webinar, please stay. And what I really want to encourage you to do is trust in your intuition, trust in the information that you're going to hear today, and make little notes for yourself to be curious, because then you can go back to look at your chart and see what you've just already intuitively figured out for yourself. So that brings me into the focus for today's webinar. Today, I really want to bring forward the 3 ingredients for success. And we're going to be looking at the type, the strategy, and the authority. And I see we do have one participant that has included theirs in the chat. So we do have a projector, a strategy of waiting for the invitation, and authority of none. So beautiful. Now, the very first one that I want to look at as a group in here is for the generators and manifesting generators. So to get started, when you have your human design chart, at the very top, you're going to find your type, you're going to find your strategy, and you're going to find your authority. Those are the 3 main ingredients that you want to look at to really get to know your design and to help you on your journey. Now, generators and manifesting generators are 2 different classifications, but they are considered to be one type in human design. And that's because they share a certain aura. Now, your aura is your energy field that exists outside of your body. We can't see them, but we feel them, and they're our way of interacting with the world around us. So a generator and a manifesting generator, their aura is coming right from this center, right at the gut, and that is called the sacral center. They are the only types in human design that have this center highlighted and colored in their chart. And that's what separates them from the other types. Now, with that sacral center, they're going to have this beautiful aura that is pulsing out into the world, and it's collecting information, and it's bringing that information back into themselves. And they're also letting other people do the same for them. It is a very strong energy that literally has a strategy call to respond, but it is responding to life. So if you think of yourself, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, and you have this energy field that's naturally going out into the world, and it's grabbing information and it's bringing itself back into you, and others are interacting with you as well, then that ability to respond to life is your body's way of communicating to you what you have the available energy to do, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and what you're not sure of. And it's so important to learn to trust in your body's wisdom, your body's ability to talk to you, and not the mind's trying to run the show or trying to guide your life. We've all been conditioned on our journey to try to be what other people want us to be. We come into the world and our parents have expectations for us, our teachers, others within our social circles. So learning to tune back into your body is going to be your way of navigating in the world and reconnecting to your truth. And nobody else knows your truth except for you. So it's very much a personal journey to get to know, if you're a generator or manifesting generator, how is your body responding? So when you're honoring your sacral yeses in your nose, you're naturally going to align to what is in your highest good. And this sacral center is beautiful because it has its own language, and little children do this so well. When you ask them questions and they like something, oftentimes they lean into you, that they light up, and they make noises such as if they're eating something that's delicious, there's this noise that just kind of vibrates from them. And it's the same with asking them to do something that they don't want to do, or giving them a food they don't like, and it's the maybe the lips get tight, maybe the body gets tight, maybe you lean away from things. So you're really learning with your human design, for those generators and manifesting generators, how does your sacral talk to you? How do you know what your yeses sound like without making any words? It's pure body sounds, or a body sensation, or a movement forward or backwards. And then equally so, how do you recognize your no's? How do you recognize your maybes? And connecting with the way your body talks is going to set you on that course for knowing you're on the right track. Now, your human design chart also gives you another clue to that, because it gives you what's known as a not self theme. And for a generator and a manifesting generator, the not self theme is frustration. So when you're feeling frustrated, life isn't going in the direction you want it to go, and things just seem to be hard, and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. That is your body's way of saying you're going in the wrong direction, or you're trying to force something to happen, but it's not in the divine plan for it to go that way. And sometimes it's that your body doesn't have the energy required to currently do what it is that you're asking it to do. So the most loving thing might be that your body's asking you to rest right now, or to wait until other things come into alignment before going into manifestation. So if you start to recognize, I'm feeling really frustrated with my life, or I feel frustrated with this individual, or this situation, or this job, really pay attention to that. And then get really honest with yourself by digging a little bit deeper. What is it that makes you frustrated? And if you were to talk to your body, what are you intuitively picking up on? Now, when you are in alignment, you're going to lean towards satisfaction. That is your truth. And that's what generators and manifesting generators are here to do. Their gift that they're bringing in is they're the builders of the new world. And I really want to highlight that name, New World, because traditionally, generators and manifesting generators have been used as slaves. So there's this energy of feeling like you're a slave to your job, a slave to your family, a slave to life. And that's not the truth of who you are. You're here to work. You have a lot to contribute. You have a lot of energy to share, but you're here to do what satisfies you. You have a lot to contribute. So the movement towards the new world is we're seeing a shift from the rigidness and the controlled environment into more of a health-life balance. The work-life balance, right? We're coming into more of a time of the divine feminine, where it's softer, it's more fluid, it's more organic. That sacral is also about taking care of families and communities. So in order to have healthy families and healthy communities, we need to have our generators and manifesting generators honoring their sacral energy, their life force energy, being the best versions of themselves, the healthiest versions of themselves, feeling that satisfaction of a job well done, and allowing that energy to really feel up and offer that out into the world. So you actually have the quickest path to what they call awakening, because that sacral center will connect you back into your body, and learning to trust in your body is then going to help you to walk forward to make those decisions that are in your highest good. And our generators and manifesting generators, they make up about 70% of the population. So this is a significant portion of individuals who are going to fall under one of these two categories. So even if you're attending this webinar and you're not of this type, this is going to benefit you by noticing out in the world those sacral sounds from a lot of the population, and then acknowledging that as their truth. And the best way to bring that out of somebody is to ask them questions. So when we ask people questions, we're giving them an opportunity to respond. And when they're responding, it's coming from their true self, not from their mind, not from their thoughts, not from the program of trying to say what somebody wants to hear, right? We sometimes tell ourselves that story, but it's allowing the truth of the body to speak to us. So that is one of our types in human design. Now, another one of the types is called a manifester. So that again is found right up in the top. The manifester has a strategy to inform, and it has its authority listed there as well. And there's different kinds of authorities. So a manifester has a different kind of aura. And you're going to notice it does not have that sacral center. So it is designed with an aura that acts more like a shield. It is dense, it's called repelling, and it's repelling in the sense that it can push other energies out of the way in order for it to go to manifestation very quickly. Now, its strategy is to inform, because a lot of the other energy types can't penetrate this auric shield. So because it can't penetrate it and it can't read the energy, it often becomes very confusing for other people. So a manifestor is somebody that can do stuff really, really quickly, and it can act independently from all the other types in human design. So it needs to learn to inform others as a way to be respectful and to help other people see and understand what it is that they're doing. So they're not necessarily asking for permission, because they have the free will to do what they need to do to honor their strategy to move forward in life. But when they recognize that, they're here to learn about the power of the impact they bring to others, then part of that is they're learning about healthy communication. So pausing to inform somebody before they take action or they don't take action is going to help create that potential for a meaningful relationship. And to giving you an idea of what this is like, it's, if you have a manifestor child thinks in its head, I want to go play with my friend. My friend lives down the street. I know how to open the door. They open the door, they go down the street, they go to their friend's house, and they don't pause to think, maybe I should ask a parent first. Maybe I should let someone know where I'm going first. So you can imagine how it may play out or how it may feel if a young 4-year-old manifestor is just kind of left to go with their impulses, and they're not taught to pause and consider, who's that going to impact and who do you need to inform before you just go and do what you're feeling inspired to do. So the manifestor has a not self theme of anger. And sometimes that anger is held in the body because there's a fear that other people are going to try to control the manifestor. And a manifestor is a bit like a wild horse. You can't cage it up. it's going to rebel. It's going to fight back. It's going to have all this anger coming off of it. But it's here for peace. That's what it's here to learn in this lifetime. So in learning to communicate and in learning to acknowledge that other people are impacted by their actions, their behaviors, they can lean towards more of a peaceful life where they can do what they're here to do and not worry so much about trying to do it the same way as others. So their gift for the world is they're here to initiate action. They kind of act as the doorkeepers, and they're here to open the doors and initiate other people. But then they have to step back and allow others to move through at their own time and place, if that is right for them to do so. Another one of our types are projectors. And a projector, again, comes with no sacral center, and they come with a different kind of aura. Now, a projector's aura is very much focused on other people. Projectors really don't want to learn about themselves because they're so naturally designed to read the energy of others. But in order to get a really good read on others and to help other people, it's so important to first slow down and get to know yourself. That way you know this belongs to them, this belongs to me, and that helps you to do what you're here to do because your gift is to be a guide for other people. So that beautiful aura that's coming from a projector is literally like a laser beam. And it's going into the other, it's reading all that information. You know, it might pick up on their emotions, their health and well-being, their life force energy, their stress levels. It can get a whole lot of information. Now, because it gets a whole lot of information, it is very natural for a projector to just see what needs to be done in businesses. There's a natural aptitude for systems. There's a natural aptitude for working with other people. There's a natural aptitude to guide and to point out the direction someone should go in or potentials to kind of fix where they're at in their life. So their strategy of waiting for that invitation is so important because what happens is just because you know how to do something, and just because it's easy for you to do something, it doesn't mean that it's always correct for you to do that. And what I mean by that is a projector who is so eager to help and doesn't wait to be invited in to help often ends up carrying a lot of responsibilities on their own shoulders that are not their responsibilities to bear. And for those of us who are parents, or we've worked with others who, you know, we give them advice, but they don't want to do the work, we know what it's like to be carrying them around, jumping in to do things for them. So when a projector slows down and they're waiting for an invitation, and what that means is they're waiting to notice within themselves that the person that they're here to guide, or the organization that they're here to help implement a new strategy or software or something to help the business, they're waiting to see if that person is ready to go through the necessary changes and to do the work that needs to be done. Because the projector's not here to do the work. The projector's here to guide others to do the work for themselves so that they can feel the rewards of the changes, and then they can come back to the projector and go, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I am in such a better place because of your advice, because of your guidance, because of your assistance. A projector must be recognized for what they came here to do. And that is found within their body graph, within their chart. We look at different channels, bridges between two colored centers, and that gives us information on what a projector is here to be recognized for. So it doesn't matter that you can do a lot of things for a lot of individuals. You're going to feel that not self theme of bitterness, which can often come as resentment, if you're carrying other people on your back and they're not changing. You're going to waste a lot of time and giving a lot of great advice and doing a lot of beautiful things for somebody who's just not going to do the work and is just not going to move forward. So you don't want to tie up your energy in those scenarios. You want to wait and really save yourself for the ones that are ready to change, and they are ready to listen, and they are ready to recognize you for the difference and the guidance that you can bring into their life. So that slowing down to allow for that is absolutely essential in order to feel success, which is what you're here to do. You want to feel like that was a job well done. I am really proud of myself, and I'm proud that I am recognized and I'm honored for what it is that I'm here to contribute. So that's worth waiting for. Sometimes there can be a long period of time where it feels like you're never going to get invited. But when you do get that invitation and you've allowed yourself to be patient enough to be free and available to notice when it comes in, now you get to exert your time and your effort and your skills and all of those things that are going to be of so much value than trying to force something to come into creation that's just not ready to come through yet. So it does require patience, but the most beautiful flowers, the most beautiful moments are the ones that are worth taking a little bit of extra time to cultivate. So be patient with that. I have a lot of clients who are projectors, and I absolutely love the guidance and just the awareness that comes in when they take the time to get to know themselves before they step out into the world, because then they really do act as those powerful, powerful guides for other people. Now, our last type is known as the reflector, and a reflector has nothing colored in on their body graph. So they're completely white in their centers. And reflectors are rare. They're about 2% of the population, but I feel like more and more reflectors are coming into the world. And where I live on Vancouver Island, I've actually met and interacted with 4 reflectors in the last little while. And when I did my Living Your Design certification, I had a reflector in the class with me, also getting their own certification. So sometimes we look at all that openness, that white, and we think, this is a really challenging way to walk in the world. But the truth is, every single one of us came into this world with a type, a strategy, an authority, and a body graph that is in perfect match to what it is that we're here to offer to others and to live out our destiny. So nobody has a type or a chart that is harder than anybody else's. It is absolutely perfect for what it is that you're here to do. So a reflector doesn't have any inner authority. And I know one of our participants here today, you're a projector who has no authority as well. And there is a classification of certain projectors who have a lot of openness in their chart as well. So they kind of follow the same kind of theme. Now, for the reflector, they really need to honor their environment that they're in. Because what the reflector does is it acts like the heart of the community. So if you can imagine, a reflector standing in the very circle And our mental projectors too, they also fall in this category. They're staying in the very circle and everybody else is around them. They are going to act as a mirror and they're going to reflect back the health and the well-being of everybody else that is around them. And that's why they're known as the heart of the community, because they're just like having a child, and not that they're childish, but a child has complete innocence. And a child comes into the world completely innocent. We were all children that came in completely innocent. We were all the heart of a community, a family, spiritually, right? We were all that. And that heart requires other individuals to guide it. It requires an environment that is going to sustain it. So this is also a relationship with Mother Earth. The reflector, or somebody who has a lot of openness in their chart, is going to know the health of Mother Earth. It's going to feel the movements of the planets. It's going to have a relationship with the moon, because that is actually where it gets its strategy from, is it is reflecting the moon. All other types in human design have a relationship with the sun. The reflector is here to be pure yin energy, pure feminine energy, and is reflecting to us the moon cycles. So the moon is also a way to stimulate our inner waters. Us as women, we understand cycles. We have menstrual cycles, right? We have a natural way that our body moves through us. And we know that we can't control those cycles. There's just a part of how our body interacts with the world. Well, it's the same for learning about the planets and learning about the moon cycle and learning about our environment and Mother Earth, and coming into a respectful relationship with our natural environment. So the reflector has such a beautiful job in helping us to see our own health and well-being when you're in the presence of a reflector. But for themselves to stay happy and healthy, they need to make sure that their environment that they're in is supporting who they are. They need to make sure they have individuals around them who can act as trusted advisors. And an advisor doesn't tell somebody what to do. An advisor will ask questions. It will allow the reflector or anybody else to talk and to then hear their own voice, so that they can feel it through their own body. And we can all learn from that. A lot of us want to give a lot of advice and we want things to go our way because that will make us comfortable. And we've all been there. But the truth is we don't know anybody else's journey. We don't walk in their shoes. We're not feeling their feelings. We're not in their body. We don't know what they've gone through in their lifetime. So how can we advise anybody else? You can offer your stories, your experiences, your empathy. You can help others to self-actualize so that they can have the benefit of learning to trust in themselves and empowered in their own decisions. And that's what we want for humanity. We want to be able to support everybody in building that deep trust within themselves to know that they can survive in this world. Because it's not always such a pretty place to be in, but there's also a lot of beauty here as well. So our reflector will show us that. And, it's a good indicator for all of our charts as well, because anything that you have in white in your chart, you're offered a piece of that reflector. We all have a piece of everybody's design, but we have a dominant design that is ours. So in that, they're not self-theme as disappointment. They're going to feel disappointed if the environment around them is not helpful to them, or if it's making them feel lethargic, or there's a lot of anger, or they're seeing things happening to Mother Earth and it's just destroying nature and it's having disrespect. They're going to be disappointed. They're going to be disappointed in human behavior, of things they see out in humanity that are not kind and they're not from acts of love. That's the not self theme. Their true self, just like a child, is they're here to be surprised. So they're here to remind us to be like little children. Little children don't wake up in the morning with this big agenda. They wake up in the morning and they start to go towards the things that they feel pulled towards. And they allow themselves to be surprised. They're surprised by a sunset. They're surprised by an animal playing. They're surprised by a butterfly that just went by. They're surprised when a gust of wind brushes their cheek. They're surprised when the clouds open up and now there's some rain. And then after the rain, there's this beautiful rainbow, right? There's so many things in our world to be surprised and delighted about and rejoice in. And that's what it means to have all this beautiful openness that is moving through you, showing you what life is supposed to be. The disappointment is there to remind us that, everything exists within the same space. We can't control the world around us, but we can control ourselves in the point of taking full responsibility for our own environment, the relationships that we have, and by doing what we need to do to manage our own stresses and to build our own relationship back with the natural world that we are all a part of. So that is our types. Now I want to bring us into authority, because authority is your personal guidance system. And that's also found on the top of the chart. Now, most people are going to have an inner authority. Only a handful will have an outer authority, but it pays for you to also know the inner authorities because you're affected by all of this. Inner authorities come in a little bit of a hierarchy. So there's 5 different kinds that somebody can have, with the most dominant being right at the very bottom. So 50% of individuals are going to be of emotional authority. The wide base, our foundation, and this is very specifically designed because we're very young in our emotional awareness. We're learning about the power of emotions. We're learning about how it affects ourselves, how our emotions have the ability to override our entire system, and how our emotions also go out into the environment and they affect other people. This is powerful, powerful energy, but as a species, we have to remind ourselves that, we're kind of like we're in kindergarten, learning about this. And we can't fix something or change something until we become aware of what it is that needs to be fixed. So there's a lot of emotional manipulation out in the world, and we see it everywhere. It's in advertising. It's in individuals. We learn from a really, really young age how to use emotions to get our own way. And then they become built-in patterns and behaviors. And a lot of us move that forward into adulthood. And I'm sure we've all had interactions where you are face to face with an adult, but they're acting like a 2-year-old child. So that is where the emotions come into play, of somebody has a need that wants to get met, but they don't have the power to communicate it appropriately, or they haven't learned the skills or the awareness of how their emotions are affecting others. So this is a big part of the foundation of being a human right now, and why we see so many people here with emotional authority. So if you have of emotional authority in your chart, this center right here is going to be colored in. This is your solar plex. And this is where you're going to start in your human design. You're going to want to really get to learn your natural wave patterns. Every single one of these numbers, if they're circled in purple on your chart, you're going to have the wave pattern that's associated with that center if you are of emotional authority. Getting to know those wave patterns is like getting to know your menstrual cycle if you're feminine, getting to know moon cycles, getting to know Mother Earth. There's nothing you can do to stop your wave patterns. It's a natural part of who you are. So it's honoring, this is what my pattern is for me. This is who I am. There's no apologies in being someone who has a lot of emotions. If that's your truth, then you want to respect it, but you also want to be aware of how it affects others. Because sometimes it's enough to say, you know what, I'm having a down day. And letting somebody else be aware of that is, you're not asking for them to prevent it or to fix it. You're asking for somebody to hold the space while you're allowing your natural cycle to run its course. But your emotions really affect your ability to make decisions. And if you are of emotional authority, you're going to want to get to recognize, when you're up high on a wave, right? You're feeling really, really good about things. You got a lot of energy. Because when we're riding the high of a wave, it's almost like surfing. And you're feeling good, and you're going to start committing to a lot of things. Or you're going to go out and you might have a tendency to buy a lot of things, right? Because you feel good in the moment. But eventually that wave has to come down. And when it comes down, that's when a lot of regrets come in. Why did I say yes to doing that? Why did I take that on? Why did I buy all that? And that's where we start to feed more emotions. We get the guilt, the blame, the shame, the regret. And we have all these stories then that start to berate ourselves, and we flood our emotions even more to keep us small and keep us suppressed. And it's this vicious cycle of emotional energy moving all through the body, where we want to learn to release things in a healthy way and to recognize that we have highs and we have lows, and you're looking for your place of neutrality, the place where you're emotionally calm. And until you're emotionally calm, you don't want to be making any big decisions, because you will go against your natural energy. So those that have emotional authority, it's really using the language of, I'm going to get back to you. You're going to give yourself permission to wait at least 24 hours, sleep on it. See how you feel the next day. Ask yourself, is that decision right for me? And if it's big decisions you're making, you're going to want to give yourself perhaps even more time. But the most important thing is getting to know the waves in the gates that you have. It matters if you have a connection down to the root, because then stress is going to feed your emotions. If you have a connection that goes up into this throat center up top here, I went too far. You got a connection up here, you're going to be speaking your emotions, you're going to be acting out your emotions. If it connects into the heart, you're going to feel that as tribal, community, family, right? So there's so much information to be gathered by starting in the center that houses your authority, getting to know that center really, really well, applying it to your strategy that we just learned about, and honoring your natural gates and your natural ways in there is powerful, powerful information just in that one center alone. Now, our next one is sacral authority. So anyone who is a manifesting generator and a generator, you're going to be one of two types. You're either going to be of emotional authority that we just covered, or you're going to be of sacral authority. Now, you may have some of these centers above your dominant authority, but your authority is always the most important. And you're going to notice that if you're of sacral authority, well, all of a sudden, the emotional authority one is gone. It's white on your chart. So yes, you are here to really tune into your sacral sounds and the way your body responds to life. And you're really here to trust in your gut feeling. But in order to trust in your body and to trust in the relationship with honoring your truth, you first have to recognize your capacity to feel somebody else's emotional energy at 200%. Now that is significant because as we just learned, we are learning about the power of emotions and we have a lot of emotional chaos out in the world. So trusting in your gut is super, super important. Connecting with your sacral sounds is super, super important. But also recognizing how you are influenced by somebody else's emotions and how you may tend to compromise the truth of who you are is going to be a game changer, because when you recognize how you move away from your truth in order to not feel somebody else's emotions, or to not rock the boat, or to not have somebody be unhappy in your presence, so you keep the peace, you're going to become aware of how many times you sacrifice yourself in order to stop something from occurring. And that is going against everything that your body is telling you to do. So those that have that sacral authority, it's so important to just start by becoming aware of your gut instinct, becoming aware of your sounds, and becoming aware of other people's emotions and how that affects you and how you are influenced by it. When you become aware and you know that perhaps certain people tend to make you feel more on edge or more guarded than others, then you can start talking to your body to get the clarity of why it makes you feel uncomfortable when you are calm and when you are in your own energy. Because most individuals who have their sacral or have their solar plex in white, the emotional authority, they grow up as children instantly trying to keep the peace and give in and not allowing themselves to feel the capacity of that energy because it's too much, right? Nobody ever taught them that they had the capacity to feel someone else's emotions to that degree. So it's overwhelming. So it's important to understand that, I can really feel someone else's emotions, and I can also really lean into my body and I can trust in my gut feeling. And you have a beautiful way of standing in your power and claiming back who you are by not compromising and by building that trust back within yourself. And that comes with time and practice. So again, for you, for sacral authority, it's starting in that center. It's getting to know any of those gates that you have circled to find out, where does your life force energy really come from? What can you do to really honor that relationship, to tune into your natural sounds and to keep your inner fires burning and to keep your health and vitality at its optimum? And how can you minimize the emotional energy that is around you and in your environment? So let's take a look at the splenic authority. I love this one because it's absolutely beautiful. When we get to the splenic authority, we're starting to see now a bit of a pattern. We no longer have a sacral. We no longer have an emotional center, the solar plex. So somebody that comes in for splenic authority, that is very impulsive. It is highly intuitive. This is our center of our health and well-being in human design. It's also the center of our primary fears related to survival. Therefore, it's where we keep our fight, flight, freeze, and fawn reflexes. Now, because it is so deep into those reflexes, it also holds a lot of our clairs. So our clairs are often linked to psychic abilities, to mediumship, and they're found in other places in the human design chart as well. But quite often, somebody who is of splenic authority has a very deep sensitivity to a sound, a smell, a sight, a knowing. You know, there's some kind of instinct in there that is on high alert to help them navigate through life and to help them sense what is right for their health and well-being. But it's a very quiet voice because this is a primal voice, so it's very soft. And in order to bring that to the forefront, it requires someone to slow down, to allow for some space to really connect with their energy, to be mindful again of those around them that are quite emotional, that might be overriding their system. They have to watch that sacral because they are finding and feeding off the life force of others, which means they're not an energy vampire, but they are feeling the quality of somebody else's life force energy. So they are subjected to a lot of different things, and that is all designed specifically so that they can really tune in to their health and well-being. Because if they're around somebody and someone's energy is not of high quality, or it's lethargic, or if they're quite emotional, well, that's going to override their own ability to trust in their decisions. That's going to influence their health and well-being. So they have to learn to navigate through their environment. And that is by really getting to lean in, to listen, to follow their very first response. Because they have literally a split second to trust. It's like you're driving somewhere and then you hear, turn there. You got to turn there. Go speak to that person. They got to go speak to that person, right? It's very much in the moment, moment to moment to moment. It's like shooting a bow and arrow. You have to line up that arrow to be in perfect alignment to what it is that you are targeting. And you have one chance to unleash that to then get your target. So that's what it's meaning to trust your intuition. If you're splenic, you have to be spontaneous. The other types should not be spontaneous, but if you are a splenic authority, being spontaneous is absolutely crucial to you knowing who you are. But part of your journey is also getting to recognize what is a reactive energy, so what is a fear-based animalistic response, and what is a higher level intuitive response where you have kind of analyzed the fears, the ancient fears that are coming up, but you're asking, is it still relevant for today? You know, we're not animals in today. We have a higher state of consciousness. We don't always have to be on the run. We're not fighting for our survival all the time. So we're able to slow down and really rationalize. So, a lot of people that come in as splenic authority, they're also here to move through some of the ancient fears, to transcend some of those karma relationships. So if you're a splenic authority, you're going to start by getting to know your center. You're going to start by getting to know your gates in those centers. And it's a beautiful, beautiful relationship. Our next type is ego authority. Ego authority has no splenic that is colored in, no sacral, and no emotional authority. So this is often some of our projectors and some of our manifestors. If you are of ego authority, you have a certain willpower. This is where your energy comes from. And your willpower is what helps you to carry through with all your commitments. And if you don't have the willpower to sustain it, you're not going to be able to commit to the things that you know you are to do. Your energy is going to peter out. Now, when you have a colored in heart center, this is all about tribal energy. So someone with ego authority needs to learn to be selfish. They need to learn to ask themselves, what do they want? What is in it for me? And this can be hard because we're taught to don't be so selfish. Don't be such an ego. Put everybody else before yourself. But yet, if you are of ego authority, it's absolutely correct for you to consider, what do I want? And what is in it for me? And it's correct for you to do that because that is a tribal energy. And you've already naturally assessed what is right for the community, what is right for the tribe, what is right for the family. Now, this isn't perfect because we're all growing. So the individual that came in with ego authority, they do have to travel a bit of a course to learn what is of their will and what is of divine will, the bigger plan, right? So they go through a journey of it's all about me as an individual, as opposed to it's all about me as part of my community, part of my family, part of my tribe. So we do have certain individuals who they could be very much, it's all about me in a singular stance. And it's not a judgment, it's just an acknowledgement of, well, that's just where they are in their own evolution and their own growth of their energy as they're learning to navigate in the world and as they're learning how that interacts with others. And they're also having to understand that they're wide open to feeling other people's fears and health and well-being through the splenic. And they're wide open to feeling someone's life force energy through the sacral. And they're wide open to feeling someone else's emotions through the solar plex. So it's not an easy job to learn how to come into relationship with being selfish for self in a relationship to the tribe. You can imagine how easy it might be to become very controlling and protective of self because of a capacity to feel so many other things. So by learning about the heart center and those 4 gates in the heart center, they're actually related to 4 different organs within the body. You might have stomach pain, you might have heart pain, you might get sick quite often, you might have a lot of digestive issues. That is often a relationship to what's going on in one of the gates up in the center. So as you can imagine, our heart regulates our blood flow. It flows over all things. It's really important to get to know. So that is where you would start if you are of ego authority. Now, the last one at the very top of this pyramid is known as self-authority. That's the little diamond shape on your body graph. And if you are of self-authority, Again, you're wide open to feeling all those other ones that we just covered. So now you're needing to really lean into the center of yourself, which acts as a magnet. This is what is feeding into your aura. And just like a magnet, it is attracting back what it is that you're projecting out into your electromagnetic field. So this is our feelings, this is our emotions, this is our beliefs, our thoughts. Everything is an accumulation of there. That center of self is our center of direction, identity, love. So if you are a self-authority, you're really learning to hear your own voice. So you're learning to have conversations with trusted advisors, have conversations with others. And as you're speaking, you're listening in the vibration of what feels right for you. And you're not looking for anybody else's advice. You know, it's helpful, again, to ask questions, get people to ask you questions so that you can hear yourself. But you're bringing that back into, and you're asking, is this going to make me happy? Is this going to provide fulfillment? Because that is the truth to your direction. That is the truth to your love. That is the truth to your identity. But as you are learning this and getting really clear on self, you're also coming into a relationship of all of these other openness in your energies that you are learning to discover in the world around you. So again, it's no more hard or easier than anybody else's design. It's what this specific individual came here to learn. You know, they really came here to honor a relationship with themselves and to ask, does this make me happy? And does that provide fulfillment? And that's honoring who they are. Now, our last group is outer authority. So this is where we see our mental projectors and our reflectors. So a mental projector may have one of these three or all of these three colored in. They have nothing below the throat center. So they're all open, and all of those 5 centers that we just talked about, they're all white in their design. Now, if you can imagine, I want to go back for one moment. If that was clear, outer authority would literally be like a circle around this entire pyramid, right? It's external from all of this openness, but it also has a relationship to all of that openness. So number 1, your environment. You want to start your journey by really assessing the health of your environment, where you work, where you live, your relationships with others. And you don't want to isolate yourself because you're meant to interact with the world. You're meant to allow yourself to have experiences. You're meant to enjoy life. You're meant to evolve as a human, right? We can't evolve as a human if we are too protective of ourselves and we limit our potential to grow and to navigate and to trust in our ability to have discernment, which means to know who's trustworthy and who's not. You want to feel safe in your world. But that comes with having a very honest assessment of, well, how is my immediate environment and what needs to change in there? So it's very important to make sure you have some spaces where you can be completely yourself. You can rejuvenate. This is where finding a relationship with Mother Earth, with the natural environment, to cleanse you, to heal you, right? There's some beautiful opportunities in there to really tune in to the natural cycles and to really observe other people, right? So secondary to the environment is you're going to the moon cycle. The moon cycle is systematic. It very much has its cycles. It changes. And, you know, we often talk about different planets and, you know, we just went through a moon that was in Gemini, right? So you have an opportunity to observe, well, how does a moon in Gemini affect the people around me? And that is where you get to apply the disappointment, because people are either really emotionally invested with a story of how that energy is affecting them, and some may be doing it just because others around them are saying this is a hard moon. Other ones might be doing it because in their body, they are being stimulated to release a lot of old karmas and old emotions that are naturally ready to complete their cycle. So they may just need space. So you can become a beautiful observer of humanity, and being able to share with you all of those inner authorities before we come to this part gave you an opportunity to kind of see how it's laid out in the world, to then get curious of those people around you. And I highly encourage you to run off your immediate family members or those in your environment, their birth charts, so that you can kind of see, where are they? What is their strategy? What is their authority? And notice how that is in relationship to yourself. What are you sensing? What are you feeling? What are you curious about? What are you noticing as the shadow energy? And I call the shadow energy someone's fear energy. The stories of their own creation. You can't rationalize with the shadow, right? Because it's a figment of somebody else's imagination. It's their perception of their fears, their emotions, their stories. Whatever is going on, it's real to them, but it's not real to the rest of the world. So you can't rationalize with somebody else's shadows, but you can really tune in and get to know somebody's light, somebody's truth, somebody's authenticity. And it's in those moments, and this is where you're going to get the surprise, is you're going to know maybe something to say or something to do, or perhaps you're just called to just be an observer of whatever is going on, being detached from it, but getting some really deep wisdom that comes forward to help you learn more about yourself. So mental projectors and reflectors, they're going to learn the best about their world by learning about other people. And it doesn't mean you have to do anything. You're just being curious. But you're using your judgment to know what is a healthy environment for you and what is not a healthy environment for you. And if you are a reflector, you're peer open, you do have to wait a full moon cycle before you make major decisions. So these are a decision about your career, a decision about a relationship, and a decision about where you're going to live. Once you've gone through a moon cycle, and what that means is, as the moon changes in its orbit, it starts to activate different gates within your chart. So you're going to have a very certain pattern that gets highlighted every moon cycle, every 28 days or whatever that rotation is. So you do have a consistent pattern. So you're getting to know yours, and you're questioning, how does this decision feel at every point of that moon for that full month. So this is a gentle process for this individual. This is the heart of the community. It's a big decision, but that's going to honor it. And you get those three main things in place: your living arrangements, your career, and your major relationships with others. Then you don't have to wait so long for those other decisions because they're more natural in there. But it's having some fun with that. So that's kind of what it looks like at a glance, right? If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you have a strategy of waiting to respond, and you're either going to be emotional authority or sacral authority. If you're a manifester, you're going to inform others before initiating action or not, and you have a few different authorities that you have a potential to be. If you're a projector, you're going to wait for the invitation, and you probably have the most of the different choices of potential inner authorities, or to be of that outer authority. Depends on your chart. And reflectors, they're going to wait a full moon cycle prior to making life decisions, and they're reliant fully on an outer authority. The only type that reflects the moon in there. So it's kind of interesting to see everybody's types together and the various combinations that we can all have. And again, whatever your design is, that is exactly what you were needed to be in order to live your destined life. So it's really getting to honor you, to know you, to love you, to trust you. And you're the only one that can make your decisions and know what is right for you. So building that relationship with self is so important. So I know we've gone over time, but I do want to end this by showing you the magic of becoming your own alchemist. And to become your own alchemist, it means really looking at the different gates within your design. So you're going to start with whatever center is of your authority. Then you're going to start to get to know the numbers in that center that are highlighted. And I want to show you what it means to open the doors to one of those numbers. We call them gates in human design. And in every gate, you're given 3 ingredients. You're given a little seed, and that little seed is a fear, but you're here to transmute that fear. So the seed is never going to go away, but it has the potential to either grow into a weed if we feed it a lot more fear, or if you feed it love by accepting that that is inside you, and you learn to honor it and you learn to see it, well, then it has the potential to bloom into something beautiful. So you're going to get to know the fear in the gate. You're going to get to know what's called the gift, which is the way your body's going to help you transmute the fear into a greater faith in yourself. And over time, as you offer yourself the choice of accepting the gift more than you accept the fear, well, then you have the potential to actualize into what they call the divine essence or the pure light, which is the spirit inside. So this is our mind, body, spirit relationship. And that's found in every single gate, every number highlighted in your chart. And we all have opportunities to experience all gates at some point in the year within our chart. So we all get to learn from each other as we get to learn for ourselves. So I'm going to show you a really quick video. And this gate 46, this is related to the love of the body. It's related to the fall equinox. So we're still in the fall equinox. We haven't hit our winter solstice yet. And it's known as the gate of serendipity. So I'm going to play this for you quickly. And if you are wearing earphones, be mindful because the sound will be shared from my computer. So it might be a little bit louder than my voice is coming through right now. So just be very mindful when it goes over to play. Found in the center of self, gate 46 is known as the gate of serendipity. It is the pathway of delight, linked to the autumn equinox and the love of the body or not. As part of the channel of discovery, gate 46 helps us to consider that when we honor and delight in the miraculous nature of our body, everything seems to come towards us effortlessly. Delight attracts more opportunities to experience delight, which at some point has the potential to move oneself into a state of ecstasy, the ultimate transfiguration through gate 46. Serendipity occurs when you just happen to show up at the right time and in the right place to receive something beneficial. Perhaps you engage in the right conversation, you find what you are searching for, or receive a piece of the puzzle to help you move forward along your path. You can consider it luck or good fortune, and those with gate 46 have access to a consistent energy flow to support this. If your center of self is defined, it's colored in, and opportunities to experience this. If you are undefined, it appears white in your chart. Those without this gate in their personal design will still reap the rewards if they trust in the flow, as we experience all gates and activations at certain points throughout the year as they are stimulated within the cosmos. Remember, you exist within a living information field fed primarily through neutrinos, streaming down from the sun, and transits crossing the galaxy. Neutrinos are the smallest known form of energy particles, and millions are streaming into your aura every second of the day, as it is for us all. Call it chance, fate, fortune, luck. What matters the most is dependent on your attitude and your willingness to both trust and be guided by life. What tends to get in the way is the shadow of seriousness. Serendipity is magnetic. The center of self is our magnetic monopole, pulling things directly towards itself. It is our place of identity, direction, love. It keeps us on the course of our highest good. You cannot detach from your destiny, but you can struggle. Ignore the signs and repeat certain life lessons until you break free of what is not in your alignment to your path. Think of this as the spider's web. We become caught in a web of our own deception whenever we lie to ourselves or we become overwhelmed by emotions or fears. This creates the struggle, and the more entrapped you will become. To free yourself, one must first stop struggling, becoming still enough to allow for a clear, honest vision of what is entangling you, preceded by a careful, gentle disentanglement that only through your full acceptance and claiming personal responsibility to change can you then disentangle yourself, creating that space required for forward movement once again. This is life. The web is symbolic of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and fears, aka what you create into form. The spider is your true self, often feared for its creative power and potential. Gate 46 in its relationship to the fall equinox provides another opportunity to reflect upon the balance within life that is always in existence. The fall equinox is a representation of equal parts darkness and light, the completion of the fullness of the harvest and the transition now into death, which will then undergo another alchemical change to be offered at the coming of the spring equinox as rebirth, new life, new opportunity. Question is, can you surrender to trusting in the natural flow of the universe and its need for you to show up when called forward and to rest when you are not? This is serendipity. Attitude is everything. Trust is everything. And you are asked to deepen this trust through the love of your body, your vessel that houses your spirit. We tend to take ourselves in life too seriously, judging experiences as good or bad, or having an expectation of a certain desired outcome. In other words, we forget that we are part of the whole. We are part of the universal body. We have been conditioned to see this small view of ourselves, this idea that we can control what is not ours to control, or that we are responsible for another's life experiences, their emotions, their state of happiness. You cannot will another to be taller than their DNA programmed for their journey. So why do we feel a responsibility to adhere to another's desired state of being? Why is it your responsibility to make sure everyone gets along, that work runs smoothly, that the vibrational energy stays high? Why do your shoulders carry the weight of the world and your place in it? In all seriousness, what are your needs, your wants, your desires? Are you trying to stay safe, comfortable, to manage your time and your schedule, to not be inconvenienced by life? This is how the shadow so easily creeps in, and it's deeply seated within our genetic programming. The concept of right, wrong, good, bad, worthy, unworthy has deepened the shadow of seriousness and placed a tight grip upon the body. Only you will be able to find the balance, this sweet point of shadow and light within yourself, to use your human journey and life itself to love your body, your vessel, to honor what it asks of you. Richard Rudd shares within the teachings of the Gene Keys for Gate 46, and I quote, "Seriousness is about how deeply submerged we are in the drama. If we could see that every thought, word, deed, and act we make has direct consequences for our future, the world would clean itself up really fast." Seriousness is about attachments. Attachment to an opinion, an expectation, a personal outcome. Attachment leads to disappointment. Disappointment leads to distrust, dissatisfaction, disempowerment. Gate 46 in the Human Design Body Graph is reaching towards the sacral, drawing from it life force energy. So what are you fueling? The shadow or the light? The love of the body or not? Do you trust in yourself and the laws of the universe that draw us in to be exactly at the right place at the right time? We are each tasked with the responsibility to create our moments and our future. Gate 46 Serendipity offers the ingredients of seriousness and delight for you, the creator, to alchemize and find just the right balance for you. To do this, one must honor and trust in the way your body responds to life. If you are holding yourself too seriously, this will be felt as a restriction in the body. Tight muscles, tight mind, tighter loose bowels, restricted breath, rigidness. Perhaps take a moment to consider how you personally experience seriousness. The way of delight. To explain the way of delight, I lean upon Richard Rudd's teachings of the Gene Keys, which takes that human design knowledge into another level. It's delightful to know that we have so many great teachers and modalities of inspiration to lean upon as we contemplate for ourselves what each gate truly means and offers. In Richard's own contemplation on Gate 46 Serendipity, delight only comes through having a beginner's mind. It is a realization of the principles of karma, the understanding that our acts, thoughts, and words really do have an impact, and that returns to us. This particular gate or gene key is connected to our physical body and our internal organs, which developed between birth and the age of 7. In particular, how we explore our world through taste. This is an igniting of our senses, and you are given an opportunity to reenact this developmental time frame at any point of your journey. You can start today to soften your seriousness through discovering what delights you. What habits can you cultivate that your body truly enjoys instead of engaging in fleeting pleasures that you may pay for later? Delight is in creating long-lasting results. You may take delight in getting your hair cut, going for a massage, exercising, cooking and enjoying food, engaging in meaningful sex, savoring the moments, taking your time, having a luxurious bath, wearing clothes that feel a certain way upon your body, sampling the flavors of life, new places, new cultures, new experiences. Notice what comes up for you. Pay attention to how your body responds to delight. What sensation is created? Where do you feel it? When have you experienced it? The way of delight has tremendous potential in the workplace, home, and in interactions with others. It is a light touch that comes from the heart, cutting through the seriousness and rigidity of life created through deep attachment, and in its place, offering freedom, exploration, appreciation for life itself. It is our birthright to enjoy life. The way of delight placed into your hands creates a master of living life well. Only you can integrate your shadow of seriousness through infusing the gift of delight. A life well lived understands that each side has a role to play. Just as the autumn equinox shows us the perfect balance of darkness and light, so too are we tasked with discovering the sweet spot between being serious and delightful. The ultimate gift in the balance of these two ingredients is ecstasy, our creation of heaven here on earth. Ecstasy begins in the breath, deeply breathing, not by force, but through a relaxed and open way of being. So that is the potential with, oh, that's going back there. We don't want to watch it again. That is the potential with using your human design. And I'm going to come back on camera for a moment because I just want to say thank you. Human design is something that is so passionate to me, that there's just so many different layers to it. There's so much to explore. I really encourage you just to take the time to get to know yourself. Pop on the website, run off your free chart, watch the introduction video beneath that. If you scroll down a little bit further, there is opportunities to join a masterclass that I have coming up in January. There's opportunities to just enroll in certain modules. So if you just want to learn about a certain center, you can do that. If you keep scrolling even further down, you're going to find a ton of free videos, free resources to just allow yourself to explore and to trust in your own body's way of knowing what is right for you, how fast to go, how slow to go. But I can't stress enough the importance of it's a self-actualization journey. You must get to know you to have the faith in making your own decisions. You're here to empower the human by evolving your spirit. So you came here to experience life, not to be fearful of life. So everybody has natural fears, but you also have natural gifts to do the alchemy to turn your fears into a greater faith. So I hope that this inspires you today to just get to know yourself a little bit more. And I really appreciate you guys for coming out, for attending the webinar, and for allowing the time to go over a little bit. I wish you all a good night. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm always available to address your questions. Or if you want to have a personalized session to really go into your design, you can reach out for that as well. So have a good night, everybody, and thank you. Enjoy the journey of getting to know yourself through human design. Take care.